Hello and welcome. Alan Uckman here at barchart.com. I want to welcome new viewers and those who attended 2 weeks ago for our bi-weekly webinar, I guess, that we're going to be performing every 2 weeks here. Welcome back. And also just to bring those up to speed that didn't attend that first one, we record this and it gets emailed out to you. You're on, since you registered for this webinar, you'll automatically receive that and you'll receive new webinar date updates. All right, let's talk about what's going on here. First off, again, welcome. Today we're going to talk about a lot of this data and how bar chart is your unparalleled data source, and we want to be able to utilize this data for identifying trading candidates and obviously all your investment needs. So let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into this. Today we're going to talk about custom views. We're going to take a deeper dive into the data so that this data views is in different forms. You're able to customize this so that you're able to have your favorite barchart.com pages displayed the way you want to see them. I'll also give you an application of the custom views using something that I would maybe look at looking at the markets. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. Obviously, there's a ton of data in the markets. There's a ton of ways to approach the markets, different time frames, different markets, different directions, different strategies. There's no one right way, so we want to make sure that you find the right way that fits your trading needs, your personality, your risk tolerance, and so forth, so you can utilize this data set and this information source. Like I said, this will be recorded and sent out, and I will answer questions for you at the end of the session. So I just want to make sure everybody can hear me loud and clear. Looking good here. Action today, interesting. We'll touch upon it. You can see that we're positive, so call that a comeback, I guess. We've seen 7 consecutive sessions coming into today where the markets move 1% or more on the day. So as a trader, I like to point out to people to focus on percentages, not points, because the points are much larger than they were a couple years ago, obviously. So that can get you emotional about the market moves. But we've been seeing more of a seesaw market. Now that means two things to me. That means opportunity, and that means that you have to remain disciplined because you're going to see the markets move. So focus on price, not policy or politics, because that's having a major impact in the market in this time frame, because we're in a little bit of a quiet period as far as earnings go. Those start in another couple of weeks, so that could drive the markets a little bit more. All right, let's talk about some of the basic views that we offer in the markets. Here, just on the stock overview page, you can see the market leaders by price volume. If I click on full list, then you will see a larger, more expanded list. Now, last week we talked about some of the features and how to shrink and expand the page. Just click on this left-hand blue arrow here if you wanted to get more data columns. This is just the main view. I'll show you in a little bit how to set up your own default view, but this is just the way that it's set up right now. So the main view, you're going to see the basics here, the percentage change, the volume, the price volume, and so forth. So this is interesting because this takes into account the volume and the price, so you're seeing the dollar movement of that underlying stock, as opposed to a small dollar stock maybe trading a large amount of shares. You know, you want to look at this is a better representation of the true volume leaders because it's factoring in the price. So if we look at some of the other views, just to quickly review what we did last week, there's 3 main basic views here on our pages. The main technical and performance view. So here's the technical view using some of the bar chart's proprietary opinions, and you're also seeing other factors here: 52-week high and low, average number of shares traded, historical volatility, 20-day relative strength. So there are a lot of factors, a lot of technical factors that you can choose from, and I'll show you how to do that in a bit as well. We're going to look at performance. For me, that's what it's all about. I'm a price guy. It's all about performance. So you're looking at the year-to-date change here, and Facebook obviously has been in the news lately, down 13% year-to-date. 52-week change is plus 8%. So yes, it's been knocked down, but it's not been knocked out. You can sort this by that year-to-date change, and you can see, looking at this list of price volume leaders, that MuleSoft, that was a takeover target I think here recently, that's that's got the best performance year to date. If I want to see the worst, I could just double click on it again and it would sort it with the bottom ones, and you can see some of these bottoms, these dogs, so to speak. We'll come back to that. You can see the General Electric is down 25% year to date, and look at this, down 56% in the last year of trade. So that's the performance feature. There's also a fundamental feature. Like I said, I'm a price guy, not to say the fundamentals are wrong. Fundamentals obviously are important in the long run, but in the short term, in my opinion, again, it's my opinion, there's not a right or wrong answer. My opinion, price is king. But here you can sort by market cap, PE ratios, earnings per share, net income, so forth, some of the fundamental factors into the markets. So if you want to take a deeper dive into, you know, the accounting of the markets. Now, I consider myself a street guy, and thinking that the analysts and the bean counters and the smart guys have done their analysis of this, and that's reflected in the price already. So I'm not myself going to find something, I don't think, in the fundamentals that is going to help me make a trading decision. I might look at something like the PE ratio and look at an individual stock in a sector and try and find, you know, stocks with if I'm attracted to a stock and it has a low PE, that's an added bonus. Something like Micron's got a PE of 6, ArcelorMittal a PE of 7. So that might be something that gets my attention, because in relative terms, that stock is cheap. Now, it can get cheaper, obviously, just like price. Price can always get, a high price can always go higher. A low price can go lower. It can only go to 0. But a PE can decrease as well. So these are the 3 main views on any one of our, let's look at the top, let's look at the market momentum stocks. Market momentum stocks, here we go. So this, you can use this to find stocks that are making new, you know, 5-day lows, 1 month, 3 month, 6 month highs and lows and so forth. But I want to take a look at the top 100 stocks, and you'll see that you have these same default settings that we give you: technical, performance, and fundamental as your main views. Now today we're going to talk about custom views. Custom views allow you to put in different columns for yourself depending on what data you're looking at. Like I said, there is an infinite amount of amazing data on the bar chart site. Now you want to figure out a way to utilize it best for your personal use. Now that's what this customization allows you to do today. Customize the columns. That's what we're going to do. If you're a Premier member, you have unlimited columns, unlimited views, and custom views. And if you're a regular bar chart member, you get 20 custom views. So you can see I've got some examples here down below. A regular bar chart member can have up to 20. Hang on, I clicked the wrong button there. So I clicked on lots of info, but I wanted to show you here, there's many different columns. So I'm just going to show you, for example, this lots of info page. I've customized it to put in, you know, some columns that I wanted to, and some columns that I wanted to keep track of, that I find it interesting, better use of the data for myself to help me analyze and filter this to find trading candidates, because that's what this is all about. This is all about being able to utilize the data to find trading candidates to be able to analyze the market. So let's go through this process of how to create one. First off, there's 2 ways to get there. You can click on custom views under your My account. So we can go to custom views, or there's a custom view on the other side. If you just look at my bar chart, here we go, custom views, here we go, right there under manage tools. So that takes you to the same custom view page. So now we're going to create a new custom view. So what's in the news today? What do we want to talk about? Well, today we're getting a sell-off in the markets. We've been seeing a lot of movement in the markets. Movement is good. As a trader, you want the markets to move. It's our job to identify strong trends and take a high probability piece out of the middle. For me, it doesn't matter if the markets go up, down, or nowhere. I can identify strategies to take advantage of whatever they do. I personally have been bullish and optimistic for a long time, and I don't think it's different this time. It's interesting that we've come back down to that February low, but let's create a little bit of, let's go through a process here and create a new custom view. So I'll just call this webinar. All right. So for the webinar, for me personally, I focus on a couple things. And let's just say hypothetically that I wanted to go bottom fishing. So if I want to go bottom fishing, I want to find stocks that are, that have been under distress, maybe haven't participated in this rally. So a couple of things that I use is for my filters, and if you can look at all the available columns, there is, like I said, an infinite amount. I guess there is a limitation, but there's a lot of data that you can use to set up your columns. So you're always going to have a symbol. You have to have a stock symbol. That has to be one of the columns in there. That's a must be. If you want to have the full name and whatever you want, but I want to put in the last. And then for me, I think it's important, and you can go through some of those, the standard, but the technicals and the fundamentals and pivot points. What I wanted to get into a little bit here was the price and percent change, because like I said earlier, for me, it's about price, and so I would look at 52-week percent. I think that's important to see where we are, and to also, let's look at historical highs and lows. So I'd want to put in here, I want to get a little bit further, look big picture. So I want to take a look at not the number of highs, but the 52-week high in percentage terms. I want to put the 52-week high, the 52-week low, the 52-week, how far we are off the 52-week high and 52-week low. So this, if I'm going to be a bottom fisher, and I'm not saying this is a strategy that you want to employ, this is just something that I would look at when I see a market have the sell-off that we've had in the last couple of weeks. It's interesting that we've had the NASDAQ, which is up 125%, I might remind you, over the last 5 years. So this, we see these 2 rounds of profit-taking pullback so far in 2018. Actually, 2018, the NASDAQ, the tech sector, rallied 10%, dropped 10% in February, rallied 10% again in 2 weeks, and then dropped 10%, and now we're essentially unchanged in 2018. So net, it's been I guess a seesaw ride, but net, it really hasn't had much impact on the overall index from where we started. So there's been money to be made, that's for sure. But let's go back to this custom view. So we click on Save. Now I'm saving what I'd set up here. Now I can also adjust these columns. So if I want to adjust the order of these columns, so if I want to put in the 52-week high, I want to put that right here, I can just move it up. So I can move up or down these columns and reorder them, and if I don't want something, I could just click out, and if I wanted to delete that, that would be removed, and so forth. So you're able to customize your customization on this. So let me just save this, and we'll come back and we'll go through some of the different options in here, but I just wanted to give you an example of saving that. So now this is in my list of, it's in my list of custom views under webinar here. Did I click not save? All right, let me just go through this again. I glanced down to see my paper, and I must not have saved what we just created. So let's go through the process once again. So we're going to go into price and percent change, and I want 52-week highs, 52-week change, sorry. And very quickly I'm going to rattle down and get into percent change, and I'm going to look into 52-week percent and historical highs and lows. Not the number of highs, not the number of lows, but the 52-week percent off the highs and lows and what the actual highs and lows were. All right. So this one, let's save. There we go. It was at the bottom of my page and I didn't see it anyways. Sorry, I didn't scroll down far enough. Anyway, so that's our lowercase webinar. So let's delete that. Let's delete one of them here. There we go. All right, so that's webinar is now set up. So what I would do is I could go to any one of those stock lists here. And if we want to look at the top 100 stocks, now I can change one of these views, and I can go to the bottom 100 stocks. Let's say we're bottom fishing again. Going to the bottom 100 stocks, and here we go. I've got here my technical, my performance, my fundamental view. Now I want to switch it to webinar view. That's what we've just come up with here a few moments ago. All right, so here you go. 52-week high, 52-week low, 52-week percent off the high, percent from the low. So I got this breakdown the way I want to see it. Now, what's interesting to me is this does not have any market cap in here. So I want to add some market cap. For me, I don't know about this net element or some of these are smaller dollar stocks. So they may not be as relevant for what I'm looking to do here if they're not big dollar, big cap stocks that are highly traded for my particular strategy. So what I want to do is go back into my custom view and add that column to this webinar custom view that we just created. So here we go. We open it up. Now you can type in something that you want, like market view, market cap, and it will find it for us. Hang on, in this column, it'll find it for us here. Fundamentals. Where do we go here? Market cap. And then we want to save this. And now we have this built into our webinar custom view. And again, there are a million different combinations of all these data sets here of available columns on the right-hand side. Hang on, let me get that off my screen. Why is that going? So all these data trees that you can open up to get all of this additional information. If you wanted to look at technical analysis, let's say, that you wanted to add a moving average so you know where the moving averages are, or the average volume or stochastics, I mean ATR, percent R, historical volatility. It's all there, so you can use that in your columns if you so choose. So now we've added market cap. Now to me, market cap is really important because I want to be able to sort and have big dollar stocks, not big dollar in price, but big dollar in market capitalization. Because that to me means that there typically should be a lot of buyers and sellers and good liquidity. And my thinking is that I'll trade anything, anytime, any direction as long as I can get in and get out and execute my trading plan, because that's what's most important to me as a trader. It's not what I trade, it's how I trade. So let's go back to a sort and get in some top 100 stocks and apply that same custom view that we just created. So now, see, it comes with that main view, and now let's go back to the webinar custom view, and that first one of those first columns now should be market cap. Okay, there we go. So there's market cap. So you can filter out, I can filter out some of these companies that aren't big dollar companies. I mean, this is a couple $100,000 company, so that's not going to be tradable for me. So if I sort it, and let's look at these top 20 or so, based on that market cap, and we can look and see how far we are off the low, and maybe look at some of these as a value. So looking at something like just off the top of my head, a First Solar. Okay, First Solar has bounced off the bottom. It's 170% off of that low, and we're trading at 69, and this 52-week high is 76. So as far as a bottom buy, that might not be it. Now we're looking at some of the top 100 stocks, if I'm correct here. So let me move something off my screen here. So I want to look at some of the bottom stocks, because these are stocks, those were stocks that already had performed. Now this bottom picking strategy, again, trying to pick a bottom in any stock, it can always go a lot lower. It's a dangerous strategy. So we sorted this by market cap. Look who ends up on top. GE. GE continues to make new lows at 13 or just below 13. It's down 57%. Tesaro is another stock that's really gotten beaten up. It's a $3 billion company, but you can see how important market cap is to me, so I put that on the top because I, again, don't want a tiny market cap company like some of these guys on the bottom here. Freds. I don't know what Freds is, but it's a $3 stock, and it only has a value of, whatever it's worth, $111 million, I guess, right? So not that you couldn't make money trading that, but for the way I evaluate the markets, again, I want to make sure that it's a big enough company that that there'll be the liquidity in being able to trade it. And that's one of the advances in the markets in the last 5 or 10 years, is that we can trade any market, any direction, any time, and that the liquidity is there. There's always buyers and sellers, and that just makes sure that if you have a disciplined trading plan, that you can execute it and hopefully look to be successful, because you have efficient markets. Markets are much more efficient, and the opportunities are much greater than they've been in a long time. So what we've done here is it showed you how to set up a custom view. Now the question is, if I want any of these pages, any of these stock tables that I open, if I want any of them to have that custom view, I can set up a default here. So you can see it just goes back to the main setup. If we just look at price volume leaders, it goes back to the main view, and again, technical performance fundamental. So now if I wanted to set up my webinar view on that page, just click on webinar. But in the custom view section, I'm able to determine which is my default. So I can click on this, and I can also order my these are different custom views. Like I said earlier, as a bar chart member, you're going to get 20 custom views. A Premier member gets unlimited different custom views. So I could move the order of this, because I don't want webinar. I want to put that up here. All right, so that's on the top, and I want that to be my default setup. So just click on default. Default data table view is set to webinar. All right. So that way, I'm going to see the data the way I want to see it. Again, there's no right way and there's no wrong way. There's all these different combinations and permutations of these data sets. Find the data set that makes your life as easy as possible based on your trading style and the way that you like to evaluate the markets. So then if, again, I go straight to my top 100 stocks, and again, I'm looking at the bottom 100 in the top 100. So you're seeing that my market cap is right there, and my different settings, my different custom settings are set up. You can also do custom settings in different market segments. Like I said earlier, to me it doesn't matter what I trade, it's how I trade. I don't care if I'm traded stock, futures, currencies, ETFs, options. It's about the same discipline, and you're just looking at different vehicles as different opportunities. But to get into some of the specifics on it, if I wanted to go into an ETF is going to have some different variables and some different customization than you might have for an equity, and the same for a commodities contract. So here in our example, we've got our default setup. If we go back to the main view, here you're going to see the data for an ETF. So there are some specific ETF specific data sets that you could get. Let me just show real quick. Custom views. And I want to set up a new one. Here I set up an ETF one right here. So then in the ETF sets, there are some things that are specific, like the fund family, the asset class, the net asset value. So that's different, obviously. Those are columns that are not available for an individual stock. So if you pulled up a stock view, if you pulled up a stock table with this ETF view, there would be blank columns in there because that doesn't apply. And in the same right, there are some other features that we have at bar chart here for futures. Let's just take a quick look at that. So the long-term trends. This is a unique look that you don't have for stocks. This is a unique view. It's called the chart view, which just looks at the weighted alpha for the last year, so you can see which are the best performing and which are the worst performing in the futures markets. So it's just a different look at the futures markets, but there are also the basic other views, the main view, the technical view, and the performance view here for the futures markets. They just have that unique, I wanted to point out, because in case anyone asks that question, that unique chart view that's not available in the equities markets for you. So that's a quick rundown on some of the features in the custom views. But what's important here is that you're able to apply these different views and your custom columns to any table on the site. Any table on the site. So let's say we wanted to look at stocks that were making new highs and lows. To go back to that lows, and I could apply that webinar, which is kind of looking to see how far we've come off the lows. And this is 1 month lows, so that I can use this to just take a glance at where we are on a monthly basis, and also apply my, where'd it go here? Oh, I put it on top. My webinar view, my webinar custom view that can just help me analyze very quickly based on some of the things that I personally think are important, is how far we are off the 52-week low. We're already 25% off Agilent Technologies. So let me sort this by market cap and see who some of the bigger boys are. And let's look at how far we are off the lows. Let's see, Oracle's only 2% off the lows. So I might be looking at Oracle, myself personally, if I'm bullish, and I am bullish, if I was bullish the overall macro market, looking to try and find some of these stocks that have been down, and look to see if they can have maybe a rubber band snapback. Now, I use different option strategies to think longer term, so I'm not just buying a stock because it's at its lows. I'd be buying at least a year of time, buying some in-the-money calls, and putting on some probability plays, looking for those to recover. And if they don't recover in 3 months, sell the option, and I've only lost a very limited amount of time value. So that's a different strategy. But what I'm looking for here is finding candidates that may be bottoming out. And look to see if I can apply my particular strategy to do that, to try and find the bottom. It's somewhat similar to, let's say, the dogs of the Dow that most people should be familiar with. There's a strategy to take the 5 worst performing Dow stocks of the year before, and every January 1st to buy those Dow stocks and look for them to play a little bit of catch up and rebound. And over time, it's proven to be successful. It's not going to work every year, obviously. GE was a dog last year, and it looks like a dog this year, so it can always get doggier, I guess is what you could say. But from a reward to risk standpoint, it may be a way to attack the market. So looking at something like Oracle, it's only 2% off its lows. IBM's 8% off its 52-week lows. And looking at something like Oracle is pretty unchanged over the last 52 weeks. So considering, I guess, the market itself is unchanged on the year, unchanged in 2018, but if you still I think the Dow is still up, I don't know, 10% or 12%, I don't remember the exact number. These numbers are moving fast. but it's double digits positive over the last 52 weeks. So guess what? This stock hasn't played ball. So does that mean it's going to? I don't know, but it's worth looking into based upon this custom views approach. It's very easy for me to attack them, to attack the markets and to dial down on this large data set into finding candidates. And that's what we're trying to do here with these biweekly webinars, is we're trying to help you utilize this huge array of data, but in a very manageable way so that you can be successful with your investing and you can manage this data set to help find trading candidates. So what I want to do here is open it up for a few more questions, and we'll get into this a little bit further. Let me just get my question box opened if I can. And hopefully this gives you a good introduction to the custom views, but understand the importance. It's all there. All this data is here. It's about utilizing this data the best for yourself personally so that you can be successful. Make it as easy as possible to be able to analyze markets. Don't get overwhelmed because there's a lot of information here. Information is good. Find the information that helps you and build these custom views and put together these columns of things that are helpful to you. Yearly high, yearly low, market cap. If you want to get into, use the technicals, get into the technicals if that's your discipline. And that's what trading is all about. Trading is about identifying trading candidates, executing a risk control plan, managing the position so that you can maximize the overall trend. It's that simple. Press repeat. Do it over and over again. It doesn't matter what the market is, what the time frame is. It's that same approach over and over again. All right, so Gary from Ottawa, Canada says hello. Someone asks if they have to go do something right now. Actually, I've got a dishwasher guy coming to my house here in a little bit, so I'm sure they'll be getting a phone call on that. So I understand what you're saying. They want to know if they can watch this later. Yes, Lana, we will send this to you, and you will be able to watch this at your leisure, and you'll also be able to watch the previous webinars as well. I'll show that to you in just a second, where the link is for all these webinars. All right, there we go. Can you set up a 3-month high? Yeah, there are different time frames. I showed you 1-month high. I showed you, a 52-week high. So there are different time frames. So whatever interval you're using. Someone says, do you short percent or ratio? That's an interesting data set. That would be here underneath. I'm not sure if it's underneath fundamentals or technicals, but that's always something that I find interesting personally, because a lot of times you see stocks get set up for a short squeeze, and once everybody that's gotten overloaded in the market one way, you see a lot of these stocks come snapping back when you've got that high short interest ratio, and they have to cover those shorts. That doesn't mean that it can't go further. But I also look at implied volatility to see when it's making new lows, if we're seeing new highs in volatility. If we're not, then that may mean that shorts are being exhausted. Someone's asking, is this data live or time delayed? The stock data is BATS data, which is live. The commodities data is 15-minute delayed, 15-minute delayed through the site. Someone asks, how I tie the custom view in the options search, and is this only for premium members? No, everyone gets this custom view. You're able to get up to 20 custom views for regular members. Premier members get an unlimited amount of views, unlimited amount of custom views that they want to set up. How can we sort short, medium, and long-term trends? Well, that's what we just talked about. You can look at the different time frames and the different. You can look at different time frames for moving averages, for example. You can look at different time frames for highs and lows. Someone again asked, prices are in real time. Yes, they're in real time for BATS data. Okay, let me just take a peek. Let's go back and look at some of these options in the custom views again, so we can just highlight, how many possibilities there are. So oops, custom options. All right, so we're going to create something, and this way we can look at, if you wanted to look at some of the technicals, here you go. 3-month moving average, 6-month moving average. We're looking at stochastics and relative strength over different time frames. So you can use these. You decide, which time frames you're looking at to shorten or lengthen your duration outlook. If you're looking to be an active trader or a swing trader or a long-term trader. So those are some of the technicals. Like I said, for ETFs, there are some specific things that ETFs have that equities don't. Management fees, net asset value, and again, those columns wouldn't show up if you use that custom view on a stock table, or that just wouldn't appear. Historical highs and lows, overall opinions. And I want to look at some of these fundamentals. Here you're going to get into the sales, the net income, the growth, estimated earnings, earnings growth, ratios, PE ratios. So there's a lot of information that you can choose from to customize your columns, to make your columns have the data that's important to you. And like I said, there's no data that's more important than any other data. It's just how you interpret it, how you make your decisions, so that you can make your choices, so you can be disciplined and attack the markets on a consistent basis. So what else was I going to look at? I was going to look at fundamentals, and let's close that up. And so there's interesting here. You can look at pivot points to help evaluate where you see resistance and support points to lean on for your trading. So that's valuable as well. So like I said, there's infinite combinations of different data sets to put in there. And as we started talking, you see the markets have backed off a little bit after using a lot of strength to get back to unchanged here on the course of the day. Let's just take a glance at it while we're here, and I'll answer some more questions. But if we look at the one-day action, obviously we opened up sharply lower, got back all those losses by about noontime, and now we're backing off a little bit. Used a lot of energy. But what was interesting today, just to give you a quick 5-day outlook, is that we're seeing a series of higher lows over the past couple days. So Monday had the lowest low so far of this week. So today, even though we were sharply lower at the open, was above Monday's low, and we're seeing the VIX make a series of lower highs. So we're not seeing increased volatility, and so these could be interpreted as some positive signs in the market. So we'll have to wait and see. But it's been a bumpy ride over the last few sessions. Let me answer a couple more questions here, if I can find my question box. I know I've got it here somewhere. All right, hang on just one second. All right, so here we got a couple more questions here. Again, how many views can I create? Again, free users get 20 custom views. Premier users get unlimited. Says, I created a view with 14 columns, but they scroll off the page and I can't see all the columns. There's a way to shorten the column headers. There's an arrow on the bottom of your list. Let me just find something here that as an example. If you've got a lot of information in your data window here, like I said, this little arrow on the left-hand side will expand it right here. So there you go. You can expand the window, or if you had more columns, then there would be a slider at the bottom of the data table that could help you move it right or left. That could carry it over to the left if you wanted to. So that's the answer. That's the answer there, as far as it doesn't change the font, so to speak, to make it bigger logo. It says, can I download the data shown by a custom view? Yes. Whatever view you're displaying when you click on download is the data you're going to get in your Excel file. So if you want to take this information and play with it further, it downloads whatever view you're on. So if you're on custom, great. If you're on technical, it'll download that. Whatever view you are using, when you click on the download button here, here's the main view. If I click on download, that would download that particular view. And so now I've got a file, and I can work with that and take that offline with myself. Okay. Where do I identify a custom view as my site default view again? You can either do this in the custom view page or the site preferences under data tables. So let's do both here. Custom view page, let's go my bar chart, and then let's go to custom views. Where'd it go? Custom views. And then you're able to change your default. Okay, so let's say I wanted to change my default to lots of info. There you go. Changes it to lots of info. And there's another route through this, or I can go into site preferences, go to my bar chart, site preferences under data tables. Site preferences. Data tables. Here you go. So I can set up my default view there. Now I want to bring it back to webinar setting. All right, so that's that. All right, well, hopefully that answered a lot of questions for you today. We'll have another bar chart webinar here next week, 2 weeks from today, and we'll be talking about another subject. But the idea here is to break down this information on the site so it's digestible and usable on an everyday basis, because it's a great source of data. Obviously, everyone gets that. And you can, the key is to be able to utilize it so you can maximize the usage of this data. And that's what these webinars are trying to do, is answer your questions and get you to see all of the amazing features of this site as far as the information. Information is power. The idea here is to help you maximize the data at barchart.com. It's customizable to your needs, and like I said, this is an unparalleled source of data. So hopefully you learned a little bit something today. You can see how easy it is to use and how valuable the features here at barchart.com are to display the data that you want to see, customizable, all these different views, and how to apply them so that you can maximize the use of this information to make smart investment choices. All right, thank you again. Have a great day. See you in 2 weeks.